There's a real sentiment of confidence around Ethereum and what's coming over the course of the next few months. And when we saw a slight recovery just a few weeks ago, we saw Ethereum accelerate much quicker than Bitcoin through that short space of time. It's settled down now. What's going on with Ethereum?
So Ethereum is transitioning to what's known as proof of work, where you get a bunch of miners, which is computers that crunch really complicated maths, use massive amount of energy to prove a cryptographic puzzle, and they get paid. What they're doing is validating the network, and that's how Bitcoin works, and it's very safe, Bitcoin, because of it. But Ethereum is moving to proof of stake, which is different. So therefore, you stake your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, to the network to secure the network. So that means if you're a validator, you have 32 ETH or more, and you get to validate the network, and you get paid a yield for it.
The long-awaited merge is just 7 days away, expected to happen on September the 13th, an event that macro investor Raul Paul is calling one of the greatest feats of engineering the world has ever seen. To give you an idea of how complex the switch from proof of work to proof of stake really is, many have likened the merge to attempting to rebuild a plane whilst it's mid-flight. There's a huge amount of speculation regarding Ethereum and what will happen to its price post-merge, with bears calling it a sell the news event, whilst bulls are pointing to the 90% drop in issuance as a hugely bullish catalyst. In today's video, we'll take a look at some of the top figures in the space and what they think will happen to the Ethereum price post-merge, and why most of them think it's an extremely bullish catalyst. In fact, in a recent interview, Ethereum founder Vitalik Buterin himself stated that the Ethereum merge is not priced in by the market.
I basically expect that the merge is going to be kind of not priced in, by which I mean like not even just like market terms, but even just kind of like psychological and narrative terms.
Another investor who believes the Ethereum merge is not priced in is macroeconomic investor and notorious Ethereum bull Raul Paul. Here's why he believes everyone is underweight Ethereum and why the merge is going to attract the biggest institutional players with the deepest pockets to the Ethereum ecosystem. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where I'll cover the Ethereum post-merge price predictions of billionaire and entrepreneur Arthur Hayes, who outlines 4 of the most likely scenarios of Ethereum's price following the merge, one of which sees the Ethereum price hit an all-time high of $5,000 by March of 2023. Also, only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed. If you enjoy finance content, consider subscribing or liking the video. It's free and you can always change your mind.
Ethereum's no small thing. I mean, it is a gigantic kind of World 3 computer. So the complexity of doing this transition is one of the biggest feats of engineering, programming, development, engineering the world has ever seen. It's gigantic. But September the 19th looks like it's going to happen. Now, will it be 100% ironed out? I think so, but maybe not. Maybe there's some risk. But what happens within this dynamic is, where does that yield come from? And we don't know what the yield is going to be, but it's going to be somewhere, it's going to settle down somewhere between 4 and 6%. Where does that come from? That comes from network activity. And what it does is takes fees from the network and pays it out to the people. But Ethereum also has something called EIP 1559, which takes some of those fees and buys Ethereum tokens and burns them. What you've got, well, they get delivered to a wallet that essentially destroys them. So what you've got is a kind of buyback situation where tokens are being burnt and distributed. So this becomes really interesting. Also, there's currently about 9% of everybody staking their ETH right now, even though ETH staking's not a thing, but there's test nets and stuff where you can do this. The guesstimates are that maybe up to 30% of all ETH will be staked, because that's similar to some other chains. So that, when you stake your ETH, it can't be reused for anything. It's not in the market. It can't be sold. It's locked up for a year. It can't be put into DeFi. It can't be put into centralized finance. Nobody can borrow against it, lend against it. It's done. There's less supply. Yeah. Because this whole burning yield stake means that every day there's going to be less ETH than there was the previous day. It's deflationary. So you've got a demand shock. Well, you've got these massive supply shocks. Then you've got a demand shock, which is, well, hell, I want to own ETH because I want to get a yield on it as well. So people are going to come into the market. Then the institutions, let's say Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, well, they're going to be pretty interested if they're making one allocation, which is we believe in crypto. Before it was kind of, well, we're going to buy Bitcoin. But now it's like, why buy Bitcoin when I can buy ETH because I'm going to get a yield on it? So it's an asset that's making money for me by just holding it, and the asset goes up anyway. It's like owning a technology stock with a 6% dividend or something.
Let's take a pension fund. How many pension funds have got themselves to a place where they're happy to invest in this asset class, would look at something like ETH, because that 6% yield would be fantastic for a pension fund?
That's right. So, I don't know what the number is of pension funds, but let's assume 10% have done something, whether it's VC or Bitcoin ETF, whatever it is. But it's on all their radar screens because it's a new asset that's over the longer term uncorrelated to other assets, and it has a high expected future return. So for pension funds who have a long time horizon, this is a very interesting asset. So, you're fighting with the investment committee. They're saying it's a scam. You're saying, no, we need to do this. So everybody goes through this process. Then they start getting comfortable. How do we do it? Well, you can have some allocation to VC first. And then it's like, okay, well, what do you want to do? Well, we don't know how to account for Bitcoin on our balance sheet. How do we do that? They might buy the ETF or they buy some Coinbase shares, whatever it is, right? But eventually they will come down to, if I own Ethereum, I'm going to get a 6% yield. And what does that do for my future retirees? Well, that's a higher yield than junk bonds. It's a higher yield than US treasuries. It's a higher yield than equities. Okay, so now I've got a higher future expected return with a yield. I will probably do this. So what it means is, at the margin, you are bringing in large buyers who are otherwise absent from the industry. This is one of the reasons why gold never became a big part of portfolios. It is for wealthy people, family offices, maybe endowments, but for pension plans and stuff, they're like, it doesn't give me a return to pay my pensioners with. So I always have to hope it goes up. It doesn't give me any wiggle room. Well, now you've got ETH that gives you wiggle room and the ability to go up. Okay, that's very interesting.
So there's Raul Paul with why he thinks the Ethereum merge is a much bigger catalyst than the market is currently pricing in. And it's hard to disagree with him when even the founder of Ethereum himself, Vitalik Buterin, has the same viewpoint.
I basically expect that the merge is going to be kind of not priced in, by which I mean not even just market terms, but even just kind of psychological and narrative terms.
So two massive figures in the space that are extremely bullish on the Ethereum merge. But what price can we expect? Well, this is going to be entirely contingent on two major factors. The first is that the merge is actually successful, and there is a non-zero chance that it is not. The second major factor will be the Federal Reserve, and if they decide to pivot on their monetary policy, and if they continue to raise or cut rates. Billionaire investor and entrepreneur Arthur Hayes, in a 10,000-word blog post titled Max Bidding, outlines the 4 different scenarios and the corresponding price targets that he personally has. If you want to read the entire blog post, I'll read it in the description, but I'll summarize it for you guys right now. The worst case of the 4 scenarios is that the Federal Reserve does not pivot on monetary policy and the Ethereum merge is unsuccessful. In this scenario, Arthur Hayes sees Ethereum falling back to $1,081 per ETH. In the second worst case scenario, the Federal Reserve does decide to pivot on monetary policy, however the Ethereum merge is unsuccessful or does not go through. In this scenario, the original Ethereum chain will still be operational, and Arthur Hayes sees a $1,600 Ethereum price if this plays out. In the third scenario and the second best scenario, the Federal Reserve does not decide to pivot, however the Ethereum merge is successful. In this scenario, Arthur Hayes sees Ethereum price going to $3,562. Now in the fourth and final scenario, which is the dream scenario, which Arthur Hayes is also most confident in, the Federal Reserve decides to pivot on monetary policy and the Ethereum merge is successful and everything goes according to plan. In this dream scenario, Arthur Hayes has a price target of $5,000 per ETH, which he quotes as being conservative. Fingers crossed we get a dream scenario. Anyway guys, hope today's video provided you with some value. Let me know what you think of the upcoming Ethereum merge in the comments. I'll see you all in the next video, and as always, all the best.